So here we have question number 1 of today's class. You can see this, but so the periodic table can be used to classify elements. All right, group 1 element reacts with cold water to form alkaline solution. We all know this. हमने करके भी देखा है, इसको physically करके देखा है, right? Then place the group 1 elements. Now you can see this: cesium, lithium, potassium, rubidium, sodium in their order of reactivity with water. We know that if you talk about group number 1, when we move down the group, reactivity increases, right, bacho? Reactivity increases down the group. It means the one which is the below in the group is going to be the most powerful metal of group 1. So the most powerful right now we have is starting with cesium, right, bacho? Then rubidium. Yes. You can even write symbols as well. It's fine. You can write potassium, sodium, and lithium, right? Then they are saying in the second part, name the alkaline. You can focus over here what they are saying. Name the alkaline solution formed when cesium reacts with cold water. So you can even say that it is aqueous. You can say that aqueous cesium hydroxide. आप ये भी बोल सकते हो अगर आपका दिल चाह रहा है पानी बोलने का, उसमें आपका दिल चाह रहा है कि पानी भी ऐड करूं मैं एज अ प्रोडक्ट उसके अंदर. So you can say that aqueous solution of cesium and hydroxide, right? Otherwise आप सिर्फ ये भी लिखेंगे cesium hydroxide, then you will award it by a 1 mark, right, बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Then group 1 elements have lower melting point than transition metals. We know that we have 3 differences between transition metals and alkali metals. Alkali metals are soft, transition metals are hard. Alkali metals are having low melting point and low density and low boiling point, while transition metals are having high melting point, high boiling point, and high density as well. So one is already mentioned over here, which is melting point. Other than melting and boiling point, you need to mention one more physical property which is different in both of them. Alkali metal or transition metal में जो difference है वो आपने यहाँ पर बताना है. So you can say that alkali metals, alkali लिखा हुआ है, अब alkali नहीं लिखा हुआ है तो हम group 1 कह देते हैं, ठीक है ना? Group 1 metals are soft, yes, softer than transition metals, right, bacho?
Yes.
Then we have C part, and this part is about halogens. You can see this group 7 elements are known as halogen salt producers. Astatine is below iodine in group 7. You just need to predict, right? Predict the physical state, solid, liquid, or gas of astatine at room temperature. So we all know that this is fluorine, which is gaseous. Chlorine must be gaseous. Bromine must be liquid. Iodine must be solid. So what about astatine? You can see this when we are moving down the group. So the state is changing from gas to liquid, liquid to solid. So it must be solid.
Solid.
Right, bacho? Right.
Yes, sir.
Then if you talk about the last part of this question, they are saying D part. Some group 7 elements reacts with aqueous solutions containing halides. When aqueous chloride is added to the aqueous potassium bromide, reaction occur. You can see this. The half equation is already mentioned over here. Chlorine is added in the bromide salt, and then you will see that chloride salt form and bromine gas liberated. What they are asking, describe the color change of this solution. Original color of potassium bromide. I already told you, but whenever I talk about group 1 salt solutions, so whenever they dissolve in water, they always give you colorless solution. Very good. So it must be colorless. And once the process has been over, you can see this bromine aqueous bromine. I told you that bromine in aqueous solution and in gaseous state, they are always brown in color, right? And if it would be liquid bromine, so it must be reddish brown in color. So you can see this after the complete reaction, you will have aqueous bromine. So you can say that you will see a color in the end, which is brown, right, bacho?
Yes, sir.
Any problem to any one of you?
Yes,
is that
sir.
clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's move on towards the next question. Now here we have question number 2, and we are going to start with part 2 because we know that the part 1 is not the part of periodic table. So state 2 other chemical properties transition metal. state two other chemical properties of transition metal. Why they are saying two other? Because initially they talk about they form colored compounds. So they already told us that transition metals form colored compounds. So we are not able to write this chemical property in the second part. So we need to say that transition metals have variable oxidation state. Transition metals have variable oxidation state. And we also know this, that transition metal can act as a catalyst. Right, bacho, or not?
Yes,
Right. Then in C part,
सर
you can
हाई
see
मेल्टिंग
this,
एंड बॉइलिंग पॉइंट लिख सकते थे
that is the physical property today.
ओके
High melting point, high boiling point, high density, hard, solid. These all are physical properties. They are asking for chemical properties specifically, right? All right.
यस सर मैं
चलिए।
बार-बार उसमें मिस्टेक करता
चलिए, कोई मसला नहीं है. Then let's talk about the C part. Transition elements and group 1 elements are metals. They shared many physical properties, including the ability of conduct electricity and be hammered into the shapes, right? Explain why transition metals and group 1 metals can conduct electricity. Yes, bacho. It's quite simple. Absolutely right, Ishal. Good job. Yes.
they have delocalized electrons
Yes, due to the presence of delocalized electrons, due to the presence of delocalized electrons, or you can even say that free moving electrons, right? So metals have delocalized electrons, so they can conduct electricity. And also the second part is saying state the property that describe a material which can be hammered into the shapes. So what is the name of it?
Malleable.
Malleable. Absolutely right. You all are perfect, mashallah. Good job. So this is what we need to solve in this question. Is that easy or not, bacho?
yes sir
really easy.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is the next question that we are going to have now. So you can see this. The periodic table can be used to classify elements. The same thing that we were talking about in the last question. The group 1 metals reacts with cold water. Transition elements do not react with the cold water. Describe two other differences in the chemical properties between group 1 metals and transition metals. So we know the chemical properties of transition metals. They are forming colored compounds. They are having variable oxidation state. We know that they have they can act as a catalyst, right? So these three chemical properties are specific to the transition metal, but these three chemical properties are not belongs to the group 1 elements. So we can say that group 1 elements, group 1 element do not form colored compounds. We can say this, right, bacho? Or you can say that group 1 elements do not act as a catalyst. So this is what's the difference between group 1 and group 1 and transition elements, right? Then describe the observation when potassium is added to the cold water. Write a balanced chemical equation with state symbols, right? So we need to see this, that this question is for 5 marks. 5 marks. 3 mark key equation, bete. You need to keep remember that whenever you are adding potassium to the water, so this is the right product. You need to keep remember KOH along with the hydrogen gas. Then you need to balance this equation, bacho, and then you need to write the state symbols: solid, liquid, aqueous, gaseous. And then you need to write observations. ये इक्वेशन 3 नंबर की है, 2 ऑब्जर्वेशन आप एटलीस्ट लिखें. आप एक काम करें, 3 ही लिख दें ऑब्जर्वेशन, ताकि अगर ये इक्वेशन 2 मार्क्स की हो तो आपको पूरे 5 नंबर मिल जाए. First observation, you can say that solid disappears. The potassium is going to react completely and it's going to be disappear, right? Solid disappears. And then you can say that solid potassium, या आप solid ही कह लें, इसको नाम ना लिखें. Solid floats on the surface of water. On the surface
हम ये लिख सकते थे
of
colorless
water.
solution of
You can say
potassium
that.
hydroxide form
You can say that colorless solution form, or you can say that effervescence, right? We can say that effervescence of a gas, or you can say that physis. right? A gas physics. And if you want to name the gas, if you want, कि आप चाहते हो कि आप एग्जामिनर को बताओ कि नहीं ये हाइड्रोजन गैस है मुझे पता है. So if you want to do this, so you can attach a test of hydrogen over here. You can say that a gas physics which make a pop-up sound when it in contact with light and display. आप इस तरह बता सकते हो कि ये हाइड्रोजन गैस है, आप नाम नहीं ले सकते उसका. राइट बच्चों?
Sir, do we have to write this in continuous sentence forms or do we have to write them in bullet points?
You can do in both of the situations, right? क्योंकि यहाँ पर आपके पास आप अलग-अलग जो है यहाँ पर observations बता रहे हो ना, तो you can write different observations in different points, or if you want to write in one paragraph, so you can, right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so the B part is saying transition elements are stronger than group 1 elements, right? Describe two other differences in the physical properties of group 1 metals and transition metals. So they are saying stronger. It means they are talking about softer and harder things, right? So what we need to talk about? We need to talk about melting point. We need to talk about density. We can say that group 1 metals have lower melting point than transition metals. Group 1 metals have lower density than transition metals. Right, bacho? Right? Lower melting
Yes,
point
sir.
than transition metals, right? Lower density than transition metals. This is right. Then C part is saying that some group 7 elements reacts with aqueous solutions containing halide ions. The same question we were talking about in the last question. When aqueous bromine is added to the aqueous potassium iodide, a reaction occurs. The half equation is given. Describe the color change of the solution. Original color of potassium iodide क्या होगा बच्चों? जल्दी से. It must be
Colorless.
colorless. Shabash. And what about the color after the process?
Brown.
Brown. Aqueous
brown.
iodine is always brown in color. Absolutely right बच्चों. तो बच्चों समझ में आ रही है बात या नहीं आ रही है? मुझे बताएं, कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं हो रही आप लोगों को? सिंपल
No,
एमसीक्यूज हैं. ओ सॉरी, सिंपल
No,
थ्योरी
sir.
है. थ्योरी बहुत सिंपल है इसकी. पीरियोडिक टेबल बहुत मजे का होता है, बहुत आसान सी थ्योरी होती है इसकी. So bachcho, you just need to see over here, whenever you talk about the transference of electrons, the loss of electron is oxidation and the gain of electron is reduction. So you can simply say that the type of reaction is redox. And they are asking about oxidizing agent. Identify the oxidizing agent in this reaction. Oxidizing agent जो होता है वो क्या होता है? Oxidizing agent वो होता है जिसके ऊपर reduction हो रही होती है. और reduction का मतलब होता है, reduction का मतलब होता है decrement in the oxidation state. Decrement in the oxidation state किसकी हुई है? You can see this.
The bromine की.
Bromine 0 से -1 पर गया है, so this is going to be oxidizing agent, right? Bromine. Then reason, just because of this, ये आपके पास gain of electron, right? Gain of electron. But this is not the part of our chapter right now. We are talking about the
Wait,
past
can we
papers of
say,
periodic table.
so I have a question.
Yes, bolo.
Can we say bromine reduces itself?
The reason is actually you need to mention the proper reason. It is going to be in terms of electron. It is going to be in terms of
Oh, acha, okay.
oxidation state. It is going to be in terms of oxygen, right? Which is the part of our
Okay.
syllabus. Okay, so just look at over here, potassium chloride. Whenever you add potassium chloride in, definitely chlorine in potassium chloride, there is no reaction because they both have the same halogen. But if you talk about chlorine in KBr, so chlorine is more reactive, so it can replace bromine from the salt, or chlorine can replace iodine from the iodide salt as well, right? So chlorine is more reactive from bromine and iodine, so it can replace both the halogens from their salts, right? Then if you talk about bromine, so bromine is not capable enough to replace chlorine from its salt, so it is not going to be no reaction, right? Same as it is, iodine is not capable enough to replace chlorine from its salt, and even bromine from its salt, right,
Reaction.
bacho?
Yes, sir.
So this is what we need to do in this question. It's quite simple, right, bacho, or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All
sir.
right, chaliye. This is one more question we have. Iron is a transition element. A list of properties of iron are shown. You can see this. It's a good conductor of laxities, soluble salts, colored compounds, variable oxidation state, acts as a catalyst from basic oxide. you have two properties from the list in which iron differ from the group 1, right? इनमें से different कौन सी है? देखो भाई, sodium जो group 1 के होते हैं, sodium, lithium या whatever, they can conduct electricity, right? They are also metals, right? They form soluble salt as well, that is also right. But this one is its different property, right? Group 1 elements always form colorless salt in solutions, right? You can say that iron forms colored compound. This
The
is
variable oxidation states भी ना.
right. पहला वाला जो जाएगा colored compound हो जाएगा. Second वाला क्या है? Iron has variable oxidation as well. Iron has variable oxidation state. Variable oxidation states. This is also the specific chemical property of transition metal, right? Then in the second part, they are saying you
तो
have two
catalyst वाला भी
properties.
हो सकता था ना.
Catalyst वाला
ये
भी हो
कैटलिस्ट
सकता
वाला
है.
भी हो सकता है।
बिल्कुल हो सकता है, ये
Okay.
भी हो सकता है, बिल्कुल ये भी हो सकता है. You have two properties from the list in which iron is similar to group 1. You can see this, the conductivity or elasticity, and iron forms soluble salts, and also it form a basic oxide. Whenever metal and oxygen combines, they are going to form basic oxide, except you can say that aluminum and zinc, they are going to form amphoteric oxide, and the rest of
Amphoteric.
all are going to form basic oxide. So you can say that a good conductor, right? That is the right thing. You can talk about good conductor of electricity and soluble salts. So this is what the similarity of group 1 and transition metals. Right, every one of you? कोई problem किसी को?
No sir.
Sir,
All right.
No,
जी
sir.
बेटे.
sir,
कोई
what
कुछ
about
पूछ-
they form soluble salts? No, they form.
Ishal, you,
that
Ishal,
also-
Ishal, your voice is not clear, bete. But you are saying I'm not listening properly.
I'm saying that they form basic oxides. Is that also a similarity?
You need to keep remember that all the metal oxides are basic in nature, except aluminum and zinc oxide. And we will learn this in acid basis chapter, right?
All right.
All right. So take care, every one of you. We'll see you in the next class, and we will have test, right? We will have test in the next class of chapter periodic table. So what you keep remember this, get practice of this, and get ready for the test. All right, everyone. Take care.
सर
Allah Hafiz. जी बेटे.
Alright, sir. Allah Hafiz.
Allah
ये
Hafiz.
एटीपी के सवाल है।